But I first wanted to ask you, what's it been like seeing the reception to the movie and your character? How do you feel now that the movie is after filming the movie and now it's out and everybody gets to, enjoy it? And you're probably seeing all of the articles about first this, first that, and whatever. How does that feel to you as an actor?
Like that. No, it honestly, it's one of those moments where you can't put it into words. I can't describe it. Only thing I can say is I'm very overjoyed. I am very taken aback and godsmacked actually. This film is meaning a lot to a lot of people. I mean, going from conception of the film to filming it to now post,
Mhm.
it's been such a roller coaster sense of good emotions because while filming it, we were in Montreal under strict COVID restrictions, and we still had that family bond. There was still that family aspect. There was still this family dynamic. And I feel like that transferred over into the film because you really get a sense of who we all are.
Yeah.
And then also, too, you spoke on it earlier, having a person of color in a rom-com, but also a person of color that just so happens to be gay in a rom-com.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It speaks to a lot. And I say it all the time, but this is what I needed when I was a kid. I
Mhm.
didn't, we didn't have these types of representation on TV for us. We didn't. It had to be from a homophobic standpoint or something had to be wrong. And there's nothing wrong in this film. It is just pure love and joy. And it is such a it's a feel good movie. It's a feel good movie. I feel like we needed this, especially after the pandemic and still dealing with things right now. We need a feel good moment. But I am still taken aback by everything. I see all of the comments. I get all of the DMs. Nobody's sliding in my DMs yet, but I still get all of the DMs. And I see those messages where people are just like, I felt seen today. Thank you. I want to let you know how much Nick meant to me. I want to let you know how much Peter meant to me. These characters are meaning a lot to a lot of people, and I'm super grateful.
Yeah. And one thing I appreciated about this was because I felt like, in a sense, the character of Nick he just happened to be Black. I mean, there was nothing
Mhm.
about Nick that was stereotypical in a sense. Like, I mean, Nick could have been like any race in that, but it didn't, the character was a cognizant of the fact that he was Black, clearly, but it wasn't anything to hinder the storyline. I feel like a lot of times when characters are written to be like, okay, this character can be any kind of race, sometimes it kind of feels like inauthentic to a sense because you're like you want your characters to know that they're Black, but you don't want them to feel like that's their only purpose in being in this movie is
Right.
being that Black man. And I
Right.
think this kind of like subverts that in the sense that Nick is just a human in this movie. He happens to be Black, he happens to be gay, but he's also a human. So what was it like playing a character that fits in this movie like this?
It meant a lot because that's honestly how my family is. The story with Peter's family is they're very, very, very accepting.
Mm.
And to be playing a character like this and portraying him with a family that accepts not only their son, but also him meant a
Yeah.
lot to me because that's my normal day-to-day life. A lot of people accept me for who I am. And very, very aware that not everybody has that same experience.
Yeah.
So to portray that on film where people can now see that and hopefully this brings up those conversations of like, okay, why don't I accept him? Why what is my reasoning? What is the
Mhm.
ignorance behind it? And
Yeah.
I welcome those questions, but it meant a lot to me to be playing a character that didn't have to deal with homophobia, that
Mhm.
didn't have to deal with being diminished in any way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
that was
I
nice.
feel like sometimes it wasn't this the trauma wasn't attached to Nick as well. Like we knew that, aside from the relationship and everything they were going through and like, will they, won't they? It wasn't this like, overarching like someone didn't die, someone wasn't dying,
Mhm.
someone didn't just like up and leave. I mean, I guess kind of almost overlapped a little bit,
Kinda.
in a sense, but like we're not gonna count that. But
Uh-huh.
it's just truly a rom com that we see these Hallmark, Lifetime, et cetera, movies, and for so long they just focused on white people, and then then Black people started getting them, but then they didn't focus on LGBTQ people. And
Mhm.
now it's kind of like this kind of like mixes them all together. And
Yeah.
you're in this project that's so monumental, and you're also getting a chance to work with Michael Urie, Kathy Najimy, Jennifer Coolidge, like all of these people. So what was that experience like too? Like, like acting opposite Jennifer Coolidge, which she is a riot in this. She's a riot in everything, but especially this movie, just the line delivery was like, I think that any actress couldn't have done that because the way she
Yeah.
delivered some of those lines,
Mhm.
I was dying. But how was that like?
Literally, I had pinch me moments every single day on set. She, Kathy Najimy, Michael Urie, Jennifer Robertson, and also
Yeah.
let's not forget Barry Bostwick. I am a huge Rocky Horror Picture Show fan. Like I can literally watch that movie every night for the rest of my life and be completely content with life. Working with the people that you look up to is so I it's like I felt like a little kid every single day. I'm like, yo, I get to work with Kathy and Jimmy. I'm like, I'm we were in the house and me and Kathy, we were in the bedroom which was our green room for the moment while we were filming in the house. And I'm just sitting there with Kathy and I'm just like, it's Kathy and Jimmy, it's Kathy and Jimmy, it's Kathy. And I'm just like, I loved you in Hocus Pocus. Like I started to unload. I'm like Sister Act, Hocus Pocus, you know. And she was just like, she was super nice and super kind. And I did the same thing to Barry Bostwick. I did the time warp dance for him. And he was just like, I get it a lot. But even Barry Bostwick was so nice. Jennifer Robertson, me and her are literally like close friends now, and I'm mind blown by that. She's super super sweet. Michael Urie, that is honestly one of the sweetest, nicest, talented. Even just being on set with him, I felt super super lucky. And of course, we cannot forget Miss Coolidge. Miss Coolidge is she is everything that you think and more. I definitely got to spend a lot of quality time with her between takes. She is such a hoot. She literally the scene where she's getting out of the taxi and just walk into the car. I kid you not, Trey. We were in the moment, and of course, it's a very like serious kind of like grounded scene.
Yeah.
And she gets out of the car. Me and Michael immediately just start laughing because her just getting out of a car and walking like yeah. Honestly, I had so much fun, so much fun.
Yeah, that reminds me, like I interviewed her once for this film that came out called Like a Boss. It had her and Rose Byrne, Tiffany Haddish, Billy Porter, and like her and Billy Porter were paired for the junket. And like she was just like I walked in and she just like said just like her legs crossed, like it just was already making me laugh the moment I walked in there. So I can only imagine the experience of acting alongside legends. That's just like for like in a lot of people are being introduced to you in this movie too. So you're not just being like introduced to people in like a supporting character role in like season 5 of some show, but like for you to be able to get a Netflix historic movie with Kathy Najimy, Michael Urie, Barry Bostwick, like that's just wild. That's true. Wow. Like, is this happening? Is this happening?
You know, uh, dreams can come true. I echo that a lot now because I started acting when I was 13. I am 27 now, but I had those moments where I wanted to give up. I knew what I wanted to do at the age of 6. And, of course, things take time. And a lot of people are saying like it's an overnight success. No, no.
You may just see that now, but you don't see all the parts that lead up to that, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, you don't. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna cut off this phone. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's
You're
not my
good.
fault.
You're
It's
good.
not my fault. But no, it's I knew what I wanted to do when I was 6, and I have been fighting since 6. And to now be starring in something as my feature film debut,
Mhm.
and something so monumental, and you know, working with Netflix, working with Chad Hodge, working with Joe Rice. It is honestly one of the most humbling, one of the most moments that I cannot describe to you. I'm super grateful, and I just know if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those things where you really do have to yourself, believe in yourself, and have faith and have hope that things do get better and things can come, because let me tell you, when they do, you are going to have such a blast.
Yeah. And you know, writing for like a trade or a trade adjacent publication, it's always interesting to me when someone new is cast in a movie or someone new is cast in a TV series, because you think like, oh, this is their either their big break, or things like that. But it's like you don't want to like negate like every moment that led up to them getting this moment. Like that doesn't mean this is the first time, they've never done anything. This is their first time. They just got this one shot and now here they are. No, a lot it took a lot to get to that moment. So I like how you explain that, because I feel like a lot of times we do, like I know everyone loves like a fresh face on the scene, but you
Yeah.
know, a fresh face isn't always equal to, oh, I just got here and I'm just, you know, it's just I'm just vibing. We just laid it, we just happen to land here. Like no.
Right. Right. You know, and I agree. Thank you for really touching on that and bringing that back, because it's true. A lot of people see the success that you have now. They don't see what went into it.
Yeah.
Mind you, I've been doing this since I was 13. Let me be honest with you. At one point in time, I was taking 3 acting classes. My mother would drive me everywhere. She drove me to set. She drove me back from set. She drove me to acting class after acting class. She would be with me every single step of the way. I have missed out on birthdays, family reunions, funerals, everything to put forth the effort for my career.
Yeah.
I left the business for a little bit. I want to say about 6 years ago,
Yeah.
and came back in 2019. Well, I took a 5-year break, unknowingly. Yeah, life happens. But then I came back in 2019, and you know, I did a short film of Hearts and Castles, directed by Ruben Navarro. He kind of gave me that little introduction back into it. 2 weeks after that, I filmed a show, All Rise, which is picked up by
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations.
I'm so glad it's coming back. I'm so glad it's
Yeah,
coming back.
I'm happy. So you know, did that, and of course, pandemic hit, and I was like, okay, well, what happens now? But I still was in acting classes every single day during the pandemic over Zoom. I was still practicing my craft. I was still trying new things, seeing how this worked, seeing how that worked. I still put forth the effort. A lot of the times, and the thing that gets me a lot is people want things to happen, but they don't put forth the effort. And what I know to be true is whatever you give, you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's you can go on all day about stuff like that. So we try to equate everybody else's success to ours. We not the same. I'm not in competition with anybody. You're not in competition with anybody. And I feel like once people get that into their heads, it frees you up so much to explore yourself. And you find liberation in that. And that, I feel, is one of the biggest rewards, as well as achieving what you want to achieve.
Mhm.
So I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. And what do you hope that Single All the Way means for queer storytelling on screen? Like, you know, in one hand, you can look at it, you can be like, okay, it's a Netflix holiday movie, but in the same sense, like it's a historic holiday movie. Like maybe there'll be a point where this was the one this year, but next year there may be two. We may see one on Lifetime. we may see one on BET Plus. You never know. There may be something like that. So, what do you hope this movie means for the future of being inclusive of all stories on screen?
That these stories are going to be told. um, we've had the coming out stories, we've had the homophobic stories, we've had all of that. I get it, I understand it. That was for a time. We are coming into a different atmosphere. We are coming into a different vibe. Go on ahead, go off. We're coming into a different vibe. And the beautiful part is a lot of people are seeing this and are getting affected by it. And what we have to understand too is this generation that's coming up are going to be our next actors, are going to be our next directors, are going to be our next producers, our next executive producers, our next music score. I forget the name. I ain't gonna lie.
Music supervisor.
Music supervisor, baby, everything. So the fact that they have this, which is so full of positivity, acceptance, and unconditional love, the possibilities are endless. Because, like you said, it's the first of its kind to not perpetuate this ideology of homophobia, and it is so refreshing. And I cannot wait to see next year what happens, during the year what happens, in the years to come. I mean, I've gotten so many DMs about how this is going to be seen every single year. This is going to be added in my annual Christmas list. I need to watch this every year. Or how many people have seen it 10 times? I'm like, 10 times? I'm like, you close to me, okay? I've seen this movie about 15.
Yeah.
But what people are experiencing is what I wanted all along. Me and Michael, we've been doing press for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been saying this movie is filled with love, unconditional love, acceptance, support. You get the Black perspective, coming from a Black queer standpoint. You get everything that you need. And everybody is now getting it because it's true.
Yeah.
So I answered your question a long time ago, but I can,
But it's so real because you think about it, and like this would have been a totally different movie had like one of the characters, not been out, and then like part of the storyline would be someone unintentionally outing one of them, and then that's rooted in kind of what we've already seen.
But it would have been just like everything else. It would have been just like, and that's why I tell people, I do self-promote myself. I'm not gonna lie. When I go out, I'm like, you should watch Single Wild the Whale on Netflix. I don't know who's in it, but you should watch it. But I do, because this hasn't been done.
Yeah.
Netflix took the initiative to want to tell a different story. Mm-hmm. Chad Hodge wrote an amazing script that, again, had no homophobia in it, had no negativity to it. And look at what it's doing. It is meaning so much to everybody. And I love it. I do. I love it. We had our a screening for the Holiday House yesterday, and I cannot tell you how many hugs, how many thank yous, how many this meant so much to me, thank you, that I got yesterday. I'm still like coming off of a high.
Yeah.
I'm super and eternally grateful.
And now that this movie is out, and, you've been introduced to so many people, you have a huge platform. Like, so many people, I'm sure that so many people are just like, oh wait, what can I see him in next? Like, what's he going to be in next? So what do you hope that your career looks like now that Single All the Way is out? What are some things that you're looking forward to as what's next?
I do have some stuff coming in 2022. I'm not going to say what it is because I'm going to let it be a surprise. You just got to follow me at Instagram, which is Philemon Chambers. But anyway, had to plug myself really quick. I'm a big sci-fi buff. I'm a big sci-fi fantasy guy. I would love to get into that realm. I'm a big fan of Viola Davis, Meryl Streep, Denzel. I would love to work with them. I would love to work with Guillermo del Toro. Even Martin Scorsese. Scorsese. You know, Quentin Tarantino. I'm a fan of everybody. You know, the beautiful part is this industry. You can be a fan of somebody and literally work with them in that next breath.
Yeah.
So the possibilities for me are honestly endless, and I'm just super excited for people to see what's to come.